Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Your entries are not working. This is something that you are stating correct. All three, the weekly overtime, the monthly overtime, and then the 7th consecutive day, nothing is working. You enter, let's see. Sixth consecutive day, your weekly overtime isn't working. The overtime and the 7 consecutive day is not working. And I even tried changing the priority. That also did not help. No, it is not working because everything is in an condition. The calculation tag are under an condition. What has happened over here? What is? It is saying that in a week, if a K6 consecutive day and double time and overtime, in a K regular time, all of them. R40, then it should replace. What do you need today? Different. This is all. Let's first keep it like this. Priority shouldn't be 1. And then, if you can also let me know, how does the priority work? It's very confusing for me. It's like, where's your priority number? Because your calculation starts from E, K now. If they can filter on A, K or something, I don't know. We'll see from AK would come after the. There's no AK over here. There should be one. I put priority 1 there. No given like 1, 2, 3, 4 now. What is happening first over time? If the condition is 2, it is, these are correct. This will see this, then this would come into the picture. That is correct. Weekly overtime would come after this, because it's after 5, make it 6. Whatever, you know what time you give daily. If the dependent calculation is dependent time calculation is coming after your first, then it should have an increasing number. Example, double time is dependent on overtime. Correct. Overtime is not there, then why is double time? Double time or weekly overtime does not depend on the entire one. It is dependent on overtime, double time. That's why, if these are not true, then why it should cover up? That's why we make it independent. If this calculation is dependent on that. Now, if I click and I just run the calculation, I'll see weekly OT would have some values. I see weekly OT has some of the values. This is how these calculations work in our day-to-day life. That's the first one. Now, if I see your 7 consecutive day calculation, I think I did the same mistake. I go over there. Then the weekly. You added regular, but I have to add regular overtime and double time. Correct. The time calculation time. The same mistake. Right now I'm removing all those things. Just going to enter. Let's see 7 consecutive days has some values. It does not have any value. What time has taken over those values? The reason behind weekly Vodam has taken those values, the 7th consecutive day hasn't been there, is because your weekly overtime is coming on what I'm like the 40. It is going beyond 40 hours. It has more weightage. That's this. Your weekly OT has been given us the important. We can do over here. We can do this. This is your weekly OT. No, this is not a K. Just click. But technically, I should have a double time and overtime also here. Correct. It depends like how, if you want to include. You got some of the values, but it should be 2 hours. It's coming 7-8 hours right now because we have to make some changes on that night shift. We have to include night gym or also an overtime also. Now I will do it again. Over. I will not remove the you can add fit because night shift is an allowance. It's an option. But there is right now, as a consultant, how we did. We see what are the calculations on what goes wrong. But in individual entries, we go ahead and check like this. Now what tags are getting generated? You tag. Like this way. Go ahead and check all the tags over here. This sometimes become very tedious. Like checking every block and what's the value is with them and gives very tedious and it takes a lot of time for a consultant. In order to get the blueprint, like what calculations are running, what entry code has been entered, all those activity, how I and other consultants do is basically we go to this PDF. This PDF, it gives the entire picture of the time card. What will happen the moment I click on the PDF? What will happen on the bell icon? I'll get a kind of calendar for that worker. What it gives? It gives the entire picture for the week. It says what calculation had triggered, what entry code I had entered for a time type regular. It has two calculation tags a kid, and this overtime calculation has triggered. And this calculation has triggered, and this tag is generated. You see, yes, this is the correct way of brainstorming when an error has occurred or when you are looking forward for a calculation. For example, on 7 consecutive, the way you expected your calculation, new call text should appear over here. Correct. But it did not end. The calculation not triggered, which means you have made a mistake in these calculations. Then you go and check that calculation. This is the way that every consultant do. But you see, now we have corrected the calculation. That's why we see like a calculation tag is there. This would be the break point for, this would be the initiation point for troubleshooting. This is the correct way. Now, there's one, monthlies also. You can do it. You can brainstorm on that and make those changes. But what I want now to give you, that let's complicate the situation. It's an homework. Now you got the point correct. And oh, on 7th consecutive day. Understand on 7 consecutive day in if the hours are going beyond 5. On 7 consecutive days the hours are going beyond 5, then that would be considered as double time. Double time more than 5. You need to play with the standard overtime calculation. Where you need now, standard overtime calculation would be used. Rest. You figure it out. I'll try to think about it. All playing with the call text simple. Alright. That's the first calculation. Now let's clear this one. Let me just clear this one. No week. Let's start looking at company perspective utilization. I'm working in a consulting company. My bonus and my promotions are dependent on my utilization. Understood? Simple. And the utilization would be taken from the time cards. Simple. Or time sheets can be used with your utilization. There are many ways, but we are going to do a simple way, a very standard way. For an employee to also be aware and for the company to be also aware. We will do week by week. Week by week, our utilization work. I'm doing in a very simple way, but there are a lot of ways, like project time entry, where we see the utilization based on the task and how many hours we give. Correct. Billing and those things in consulting company billing, and everything comes into the picture. Let's create a time calculation. Hours calculation. For 100% utilization, you should have 40 hours or whatever work based on the company. What will happen? See what is the minimum hours for an employee. I added 8 hours automatically. Comma. This can be used in multiple ways. I just sent, like I taught, an example of utilization Or there should be some other way of like word completion or triggering point or threshold point that can be looked from this time card or whosoever lags. You can take out a report and report to that employee. This particular calculation is known as minimum weekly calculation. Minimum weekly. If you go beyond 40, then it stays 40, or what happens there? If you go beyond 40 in a week, then what happens? It will vanish. Let's see. It got vanished. This is one kind of calculation. No, let me just clear this up again. A simple evaluation which they nailed. Everybody uses, but you can have a look into this. Let's see now. Think about a different kind of a thing about we did. What are the calculations we did? Consecutive day is done. This is holiday block. Create calculation. It is for Canada. I think Canada and us, we don't use it automatically. Holiday blocks create through your holiday calendar event. Minimum daily hours, minimum rest to minimum rest is your schedule deviation. This term, predictive scheduling. It is used with attestation, schedule, deviation, shift, differential standard over time. The most two importance are like, the two important ones are 1 second. The two important ones are, where to put this? This is a very annoying thing. Create unconditional. We did this. We did this. Let's see schedule deviation. These, like fancy calculations, are never been used. The most important are like the last two. Schedule deviation is basically for an in and out worker. Thank you. First, let's see it's scheduled. Alright, we have a worksheet calendar for him. How to see work schedule for a worker? You can go to Action, scroll it down. You should use for worker. When you open this worker, you will see his schedule. Oh, here 8 am to 4 pm. Alright. Now let's enter some hours for this employee and see how the time calculations are coming up. 8 to 6. Now, when we enter these hours, let's see how time calculations have been created on the behalf. I go to View Details. I go to Calculator. It's a key unscheduled days. Is it a scheduled day for him on 13th? I think it's a scheduled day, but once again what I did, and over here is a calculation. Oh, it got unchecked. It's a regular hour. Now, if I make it what will happen? Let's see. One hour before he has joined. Let's see the calculation, what it does. For example, in some companies, I have never used this calculation. We use time block conditional calculation. With more complexity and more advancement work there, has released this calculation. First check in, last check out. Do you understand that? First check in is early check in, late check out, or late check in and early check out. I understand those. Some companies do have those validation and want to know that when somebody is working early or somebody is like leaving early, those kinds of scenarios should be captured in a time card for check in, check out workers, possibly a check in, check out clock and clock out, or a contractor who is working on like time hours basis. What it does, what we're looking at to regular hours, everyday regular hours, somebody scheduling before then, before checking. If somebody after the last scheduled out, if somebody is working late, then last check out why this has been done. There are a few things. First, if somebody is putting in extra hours, the first thing, let's take an example of for a work-life balance. If somebody is continuously going home late, the manager can analyze the report and say that you should leave early or at the given time. If somebody is leaving during the scheduled shift, then the stack would generate and the manager can analyze and can ask like why you leave it. But how the manager will analyze everything? You, as a consultant, has configured it. You can put it in your time card with a new total. Number of first check in, number of first chart checkout, number of first scheduled shift, and number of unscheduled shift. You can put it in your time card, but on a high level, generally it is categorized through our reports and reports. Generally we do that. It does not look in your time card. Like if you put much of tags over there, much of values, nobody, after a period of time, nobody would be going to give that much of importance because the manager would also get bored with many of totals and like many of field values. It doesn't look that lean to them. And the time card would not look that clean to them. That's if somebody is moving late, if somebody is moving during the shift, somebody is working on unscheduled day, then these tags would come up. What does the green schedule mean between scheduled shift, between the working hour? Let's see how it. Oh, sorry. This is for between scheduled shift if somebody is entering, but that is for shift workers, not for regular workers. There are different kinds of shift workers. You need to have calendar events. Calendar events. I have taught you know calendar events. We do went through that course for those who are entering between the scheduled shift. Then that would work right now. Or calculation is based on calculated date for the entire date wise. There is two types of calculation. One is time based on a calculated date and the second one is time based on a shift date. That works for the shift workers. That 2 times kind of over here. Let's start with the creating. Calculated calculations. Let's first create a holiday event. On 3/16 it's a holiday. First, let's start with this employee later, right? Copy this employee. Go to worker time. Is the holiday calendar for him. Let's create a calendar event. Calendar, then go to add calendar event on the 16th tomorrow. This is all-day event. Test holiday. Let's go to the calculation. Test holiday block has ended. Now we got a requirement that if somebody is entering any hours on a holiday, public holiday, that hour would be considered as those many hours would be considered as double time. Simple. No slot state. Any hours on a holiday, the criteria would be that day is a holiday. Public holiday. Correct. Now let's create one calculation. We are going to use time block conditional calculation. What it is saying on a holiday, if any hours is being entered on the block hours, when we enter a time, a block is generated, those many hours would be considered as double time. Now when we click, we got a criteria. Criteria are always true and false. Understand that all the criteria. First criteria is time block. Second criteria is time shift. Third criteria is time condition, time date, and fourth is time week. No time block means on the block itself. The true, false condition becomes on the block itself. There is a business object call field which we will use is time block. When we do in shift, then it is known as time shift. When he condition which is made under a shift, like if it is a third shift and you're working, then you would be given some of the extra benefits. When it is for the entire day, a call field that we create, which is known as time day or workday own field week, and then it is for the entire day. Time week is something for the entire week. We work on a time block and then time shift. There are employees who work on shift, where one day they start and they end up another day. One is your first shift. One is your second shift. One is your third shift. For example, there can be shifter which is from 8 am to morning 4 am p.m. Shift B is from 2 am to Shift C is a night shift 11 p.m. to. These are particular way of like. For example, these are the particular timings of working. Like in big organization, in hospital industries, or in any manufacturing industry, people work on shifts. That entry is governed on shift. For example, if somebody is working on night allowances are given. Correct. For example, bonus payments or for night shift premium. That we have done. Those kinds of things are done to shift. How to define shift? We have on the time entered number 3 also defined that. But apart from that, first make that worker a shift worker, making their work schedule calendar and adding calendar events in the shift workers calendar events. Add calendar, even the way I did for holiday calendar. Similarly, we have to add some calendar event for a worker on their work schedule calendar. That's the shift. There's a basic of shift. These are the 4 conditions, how we and all of them. There's the thumb rule would be a true-false condition. The condition is true and we have the included time calculation tag added, then we'll trigger. Now we have a condition that if it is a holiday. First we will use Workday. If Workday has a given calculation, then we will use that is holidays, Workday given. We will use it. How our condition will run. First, it will see if it is a holiday true, which bucket we are using a K regular. A K double time. A regular. What will it do? If it is false, then this calculation will not trigger and will not become double time. A K time. I added the happens if that holiday is on a Friday and he has already worked 40 hours, he is already getting double. Double time. Now let's see what happens. I added some of the hours on. What happened? Automatically all the 4 hours went to double time. It's a simple calculation. Let's make it more complicated. If it is a holiday and the reported hours is more than 5, then the entire hours would be given as double time. Nothing, it would be considered as regular hours. For example, if I reported hours and more than 5, the entire 5 or whatever I reported would be double time. Else it would be regular. Now we will create a call field. When I said for the entire day, which means the total day, hours. Create call field. Day means the business object would be time day. CF date. This is the ideal way of writing. TF first your call field abbreviation. Then your business object. There is a time day. What kind of condition it is? It is a true-false condition is a holiday and reported hours is greater than equal to 5. Business object. Always check the business object. Time day. Time day. Five additional field in the category. Make it time. As a best practice moving forward in training, I may not do it, but you always remember these are the two things that you always have to do as a good consultant and as a good like a word. First, reference. ID change. Whatever is the name over here, always put it over here. Why? Whenever you are migrating, you will not face error duplication. And the category should be time day. Click. Whatever it is, what's the business object you're targeting? You will use that. In the time, the total hours is 4 right now. Double time is gone. See, double time has been added again. Double time is there. It's a very simple calculation that we have done over here. The question which I had earlier was like, let's say on Thursday, by Thursday is already worked 40 hours. And then on Thursday is working 41, 42, 43 hours. That's already double time. Then what happens? The double time would increase over there. The quality would be increases. Even if it is a double time, it started from a double time. For example, on itself on Thursdays, a double time has come into the picture, but whatever extra hours you will enter, that would capture into for double time. I didn't get it. That would be a double time. Even if it is whatever it is, but the condition is getting true. It's a holiday. And our calculation would look at first as a holiday, and this calculation would trigger anyhow. But then we are looking for the tag, which is a regular, but it is a holiday. But on that day, there is no regular tag because the employee has no regular tag. There is no regular tag. Then you will have to add another tag over here. If I got your point, if there is, your tag is not starting generating a regular tag. Then what you will have to do already a double time over here. Then you will have to add your tag over here double time. But then I'm not getting any benefit working on a holiday because it's already. This is the hypothetical example. Hypothetical example, like already you have gone. It depends on company. For example, right now, I've given it a double time, but maybe as premium public holiday premium. I just said it as a double time. You're not getting a benefit. That's fine. Maybe it's a premium. Maybe it's something else. What else we can do on this? The tag would be a different tag than in that case. Oh, it's my thinking that I wanted to make it like a double time, but maybe a public holiday premium shift premium. This kind of things come into a picture. Right. I made this kind of a calculation. The next previous day hours is more than 8. Then this day, whatever hours has been targeted would be considered as a premium or a double time. Kind of a thing. We will do that. Like I had one of the requirements when the if on 6 days somebody is entering, if somebody is entering more than 3 hours. Then on the 7th day, any hour would be considered as a double time. What function would that be? I would just like to look into it. We will do this conditional calculation itself. We will create a conditional calculation and the condition would be based on time day. And what would be the business object to look into? Time? Time. No, I mean business. Object would be time day. Business object would be time day. And then in that condition, they put something there. We will see. If previous day we'll do some, there will be nested call fields. Let's go into some next call fields. What I want to give you a task would be you need to create your condition right now since we have done a nested all. Somebody enters a time on Saturday and that Saturday is a holiday. All the reported hours would be given into a new tag, which is a special premium. I get. That would be a task for you. Now we will revolve around our things. Don't get confused with the tag itself. I just made it a double time tag for my benefit right now. Like how it will look like. In real life scenario, there are a lot of things. I got the point here. Tomorrow we will start. This is the first frame of the call field. And the business object is time day. Right now, we will do some more analysis. Alright, and we'll see how it looks like. We will see first, on the previous day, what is happening and how it would look like. I'll try to build up some of the logic or some of the scenarios for you because there are a lot of scenarios. I also get confused. Like what to teach you. What is not that typical. First, this is the first like for us also. When I got training from working, they also taught me the first thing is like this, like holiday first and Saturday, Sunday. Oh, this is one of the tasks. I gave you 2 tasks. Correct. What? The task is on 7th consecutive day. If the hours are beyond 5, then it's double time. Yes. Perfect. These are the 2 calculations that you would create. We were talking about. There is one more important thing that I wanted to let you know is sorry. Assign work schedule. This also is yes. For example, layer white. This is the worker that we do. This is the same job. It comes in higher business process. It comes in all the time changes, work schedule, calendar assigning thing. But what is basically, this is one integrated part which decides worker working schedule for the company. First, we select the date from which we want to make it foreign worker. Alright? For example, this date. We started from this and we can create custom like for these 2 days. Blair White would be working for these many hours. We can create a custom work schedule for them and start it and end it. This also falls under the category of shift workers also. Alright. You change the shift based on how you want. For us, this is ad hoc work schedule assignment. When you do an ad hoc, like from June or March 6th to 31st of March, this would be an item. But after 31st March, it would be again regular to 440 hours. Whatever it is given. But in calendar events, what should your calendar? We have 2 items. If you see, if I open this, what is pattern? And we know that pattern will come to an end after 52 weeks. Correct. We may not have an experimental or like a dynamic things over there, but in calendar events we may have. Correct. Generally, we use calendar events in a lot of the companies where we can have daily, everyday calendar event and we can make it recurring. Like we add a calendar event over here. This is for Blair White. That's why it's not coming like this. He does not have a calendar rule, name or anything. I think we assigned him some aka, a calendar or something. No, he does not have seen him. There's something. What you can do as I create your own. What I want you to do, create a work schedule calendar. Also, if you get time, we will do tomorrow. We will create a calendar rule for Canada. Automatically that calendar rule would be assigned to them. Now, when you open this particular thing, I don't see any calendar name, calendar rule or group he has been assigned to. But I thought we created the work schedule calendar aka something. But here is no. You see, if you have created, but it has not been your AK. If you have created, let's see what did you tell him. If you have created the hand, you should create a calendar rule also for them. And the rule is not there. You need to create a calendar rule also. Calendar rule is basically the eligibility. Correct. Absolutely. Time tracking. First, you finish all those things, then we'll do some brainstorming with our time. Block conditional calculation. We'll create some complexity tomorrow. We'll try to think what are the things with them. Alright? And after that, we'll advance our classes to most of the other things. Alright? Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.